So we're right here. We're still on this page, Torah code, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like they don't know how to read the code. Now they try to say here Masonic reggae. We just pointed to the Psalms, right? The Psalm of David, and we're still in the Tyre. You know what I'm saying? We're still in the Tyre and Ethiopia mystery according to Psalm 87, right? Psalm 87. So what we're going to do is bring this up right here so you can see this more squarely. You understand? And so let's go right here to Blue Letter Bible, right? One of our favorite online search engines right here, right? So let us check on this, right? Let us check on this right here and let us deal with this. So let's bring this up because they're trying to say that Jah derives from Jabulon. You understand? They're trying to say that Jah derives from Jabulon. So we're going to call this Jah is not from Jabulon. And notice we're going point by point, and we can see how these people are in a big error. You know what I'm saying? That's why all of them that talk about their Lordy and Gotti can't recognize what's going on, because they don't love the truth. They don't have a love for the truth. You know what I'm saying? And they have a seed, right? A strong seed of the devil, of racism in them against black people. You know what I'm saying? Against the black race. You know what I'm saying? Everything that's right and exact, they blaspheme. You know what I'm saying? And here again, we see a sign of their blasphemy, right, on this particular page right here. So look, there's one time in the Bible, right? There's one time in the Bible, and you see it right there in front of you, right? Psalm 68, verse 4. Now let's go and look at this page right here from Torah Code 2012 by Midbar Nesher. Midbar Nesher need to go back to school. You understand? Because you're showing that for all that Bible code, you're making me very, questionable. I got to check. You got to check every fact. Now, what they're trying to say right here on this page, right, on this page, and this is what's confusing a lot of our brothers and sisters, they're not studying and showing themselves approved, right? This one's name is John Mason, right? We already touched on the Masons in the Bible and Hiram and of Tyre, king of Tyre, how he was subordinate to King David. We already see how the other Masons were subordinate to King Solomon. And we know that these modern Masons, up until the apostasy, were subordinate, to Kedemawi Haile Selassie, until that careless, ungodly generation came along and did what Judas Iscariot or the Pharisees and Sanhedrin did, when they crucified Yeshua HaMoshiach. Now, here they have Masonic reggae, question mark. You see, because it's like the devil. What the devil does is suggest something, or what you think. You think that's what it is? It seems like it's strange. I mean, I like some reggae music, rah, 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 so forth and so on, blah, blah, blah. If we can bring up the Kebra Negast, right? I think it's chapter 110. It says in the Kebra Negast how Satan, the devil, don't really got no power. The only power he has is to sow a seed of thought. And this is what this page is doing right here. They're trying to say, we just scanned over. We just going to address the issue about Freemasonry and His Majesty. Really, we thought that, okay, we do a quick vid on that. We get that out the way. You understand? But now as we get into this more and more, we're seeing the bigger and bigger conspiracy, because now Rastafari children are beginning to put things together and it's catching them by surprise. And many of their own people are beginning to open up their eyes. But the liars are lying even more and more. Now they're trying to suggest that, Jah, right? Jah is from Jabulon. That's what it's saying right here. On this page right here, it's Torah Code 2012 by Midbar Nesher. You understand? They're trying to suggest that His Majesty was a Freemason. You understand? Somehow he was under them when actually they were under him. You know what I'm saying? They were under him like the Masons of Tyre. You know what I'm saying? Like the Masons of Tyre, you know what I'm saying, were under, you know what I'm saying, were under great King David. Now, if we were to open a next window right here, you know what I'm saying, let's just open the next window right here and look at this. Some violent people don't like so many windows open. I understand that, but let's just deal with this issue right here. Let's deal with Tyre right here. We're gonna have to deal with Tyre entirely. You understand? Tyre entirely. So let's go down here. How many times is Tyre? Tyre up here is 36 times, right? 36 times. You remember over here what we pointed out, and it should be very clear. You can look this up yourself. That Hiram, not Hiram Abeth. You see, Hiram Abeth is not biblical, so they make that up. Freemasonry makes that up. You know what I'm saying? Ethiopia is not making anything up. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to make it up. When you have that much truth, you don't have to make it up. You know what I'm saying? But they're making something up to hoodwink and bamboozle and work. Remember, it's a spiritual warfare. It's a psychological. It's a psyops warfare. Yeah, and especially if you're lazy. You know what I'm saying? If you're lazy and you don't study and you don't think critically, you know what I'm saying? It's very easy for you to, out of your fear, to believe their suggestions. You know what I'm saying? To believe their suggestions. In fact, let's see if we can bring that up too. You know what I'm saying? Let's bring that up too while we're at it. You know what I'm saying? The what is it called? The Queen of Sheba. The Queen of Sheba and the only son Men Yelek, right? And right, and we're gonna look up thought. You understand? Because remember what this one is saying on the other page. They're saying that, well, it has been suggested. Suggested by who? Notice they don't tell you, well, who it's been suggested by. You understand? They're not going into who it has been suggested by. Let me go to the wiki. See if that's open here. Because it might not be open. Might be somebody selling a book. You know what I'm saying? So please be patient. It's coming in. It's coming in. All right. So now let's look in the book right here. Right? Let's look in the book, right, for thought. Right? Let's look for thought, right? And then let's look for where it's talking about how the devil, you understand, doesn't have any power, but the power that he has is to suggest a thought. You understand? And this is what they're doing by this page here, where they're trying to insult, you understand, they're trying to insult, right? They're really blaspheme, I mean, and they're actually blaspheming themselves. I mean, they're cursing themselves. They're blaspheming us, but they're cursing themselves right here, right? So, here's the page right here. Here's the page right here, right? And this is from a chapter. This is from the chapter concerning the angels, right? This is in the Kebra Negast. We know from Ethiopia as the Kebra Negast, but what is called the Queen of Sheba and her only son Menelik. Because when we look at this page over here, and we just was making a brief point, and we scrolled down here and we started to read it, and we saw what they were saying. And they're saying down here, right? They're saying that Masonic reggae, because they have Jah Mason, right? And we know that nothing's wrong with a Mason in the biblical sense. That's just like nothing wrong for cook, nothing wrong for chef. You see, in Ethiopia, when they called the Beta Israel Tediban, because they were smiths in metals, right? They basically said they were dealing with sorcery, right? In Ethiopia, and the persecution against the Falasha or the Beta Israel, making them Falasha, occurred because of that. Then when the enemy came in, right, the Ethiopians did not have enough weapons because the ones who were in that industry were the Beta Israel. The ones who were in that industry were the Beta Israel. So they had to ask for other Christians, and then the Portuguese came in, because before that, some of the apostate church people had said that the Beta Israel, before they were known as Falasha, they actually got that name Falasha after this time and after these incidences just prior to 1530 AD, and Ahmed the Mohammedan wars, and then later on the Jesuits, you understand, came in and sowed a lot of seeds, or a lot of weeds, also in Ethiopia, fulfilling Christ's word and fulfilling that particular biblical prophecy. But they're saying right here that Rastafari, it has been suggested that Rastafari word for God, they're saying it's the Rastafari word for God, which is Jah, comes from the term Jabulon. Yes, they said it. They said it, my people. If you go to the side, you see this woman right here? You see how this woman right here has her hands over her head? It's like, oh my God. I mean, tell I they didn't go there. You know what I'm saying? Tell us they didn't go here. And they have Psalm 146 and 9. Yahweh protects the foreigners amongst us. He cares for the orphans and widows, but he frustrates the plans of the wicked. Amen, amen. Psalm 146, right, point 9. And it was Psalm 146, right, Psalm 146 and 9. But now, this is the main theme that we're on right here, right? Not the sidebar. That was the sidebar right there. Let's get to this point. So the point of this is to prove that Jah is not from Jabulon, as it has been suggested, you understand, by certain deceived and deluded and perhaps even satanically motivated individuals who are trying to slander Rastafari. This is why we say to the Rastafari brethren and sisters in the community, we got to wake up, rise and shine, and give Jah the glory. You understand that His Majesty says that for my part I glory in the Bible. This is why we got to study and show ourselves approved, because when you don't, can you imagine when any of the children, you understand, see some garbage like this, and then another fool, because one fool makes many, right? Another fool is going to pick up and say, yes, Rastafari word for Jah comes from Jabulon. You know what I'm saying? Some of you might have already seen it, heard it. You understand? We thought, when we saw the whole thing about Jabulon, we already knew this is some European peckerwood kind of crazy thing. You know, it's a latter day, the latter day Satan. You understand? You know what I'm saying? Trying to curse, you understand, the saints, the holy ones, the Qadus sons. You understand? Jah's people, Rastafari people, by even associating Jabulon, you understand, with Jah and with Rastafari. That is what they are doing right here. You understand? Go to this page and you'll see it. You understand? Torah Codes 2012. You understand? Put Torah Codes 2012, Rastafari, Jah, Jabulon. I'm sure it will, you know, the algorithm of Google will trifecta it, and you'll find that particular page. And we suggest that if you're watching this video right now, you understand, or listen to it, just go and search it out and get that information, download it, back it up, print it out if you can, if necessary, but definitely back it up. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of these things is evidence. This is evidence. You know what I'm saying? This is basic evidence and proof. Because we can say, oh, we saw a page, so forth and so on, and then people say, I don't see that page out there, but you can show them this. So now they say that Jabulon, right, they now are suggesting, because of historic rituals of European, let's understand that, European, Greco-Roman, European Royal Arch Masonry. You know, remember they learned these crafts from the Beta Israel, from the black Hebrews. We already see that when we look at the coat of arms, so that should be very, very clear to I. And because they're not willing to admit the truth, they suppress this, right? They suppress this information, even though it's right out there. And we've seen countless examples, even in the notes in our video. You know what I'm saying, in the video about the Jamaican Rastafari belt and the Order of the Garter. You know what I'm saying? And what they do with Edward. You understand? You know how they do that with Edward. They basically, we're going to show you later on how when you go there, you understand, you'll see that Edward, King Edward III, who founded the Order of the Garter, how he was a black man. You understand? He was a black king. He was part of this black nobility. You know what I'm saying? But right here, let's first of all just prove one point at a time. You know what I'm saying? If we can. Sometimes proving one point actually proves a lot of different points and opens up other areas of reasoning. You understand? Other halves of the truth that start to come together in a full picture. So they're saying that right here, here's the key word, suggested. You understand? Like the devil, what he does, he suggests. You understand? He doesn't bring any evidence. We're bringing evidence, and people are trying to fight us down on suggestion. And we say, where's your evidence? And they'll tell us, well, that's what they want to believe. So they don't have a love of the truth. Now when we go right here, in this page right here, this is from the Kebra Negast, the Queen of Sheba and only son of Inulik, right? And it says right here, and the merciful one, the lover of mercy, answered them on behalf of Adam, the rebellious angel. This is a section, a chapter on how the angels rebelled, right? How the angels, where we get the whole fallen angels, the whole Enochian, how can we say the whole Enochian part of this particular, and it's chapter actually 100, right? Concerning the angels who rebelled. You know what I'm saying? This is concerning the angels who rebelled. Now I don't know if this can go more full screen. You know what I'm saying? Let's see. Will this go more full screen right here? Yeah. So let's zoom this in so you can see this very clear. You know what I'm saying? So you can see this very clear right here. So this is concerning the angels who rebel. It's a rather long, not that long, but rather long chapter. We're not going to go through all of that, but we will make one main point right here about the wiles, right? The wiles of the devil. You understand? The wiles of the devil, right? And their slander by suggestion. You understand? Suggestion. Right? So when we go down here, it says that the merciful one, the lover of mercy, answered them on behalf of Adam. Answered them on behalf of the black man, the original Adam. You understand? From that red clay, just like the red Egyptian. I mean, you see it all right there. And said to the reddish brown, in other words, and said to them, you have I created out of fire and air with one intent, that you should praise me. So these angels who are rebelling, they only had one intent. You understand? And then one intent was to praise the sustainer, the true and living God, to praise Yahweh, he who he be, his divine majesty. Him have I created of twice as many elements as you, of dust and water and of wind and fire. And he became a being of flesh and blood. And in him are 10 thoughts. You see this right here? Are 10 thoughts. Right? Remember the 5 wise and the 5 foolish virgins? There's a link right there. Or, it goes here, it goes on the next page, or intentions. 5 good, right? 5 good and 5 bad. Right? And it says right here, it says, if his heart, right? If his heart, over here, if his heart enticeth him to good, he walketh with good intent. And if Diablos, the liar, the slanderer, the diabolic, the one that tries to throw this false suggestions across your head and your heart to confuse you, seduceth him, that's a seduction, he walketh with him on an evil path, because he has gone out of the way, the truth, and the light. He has turned to the left or the right, right? As for you, ye have no other object in your mind. This is Yahweh. This is the sustainer. This is Hashem Baruch Hu speaking to the rebellious angels, right? They only have one object. They have no other object in their minds but praise of him, right? With the exception that what? Arrogant one who produced evil. So in a lot of the slander you find against his majesty, you see the same sort of arrogancy and denial of the truth and the facts, right? Produced evil and became an evil being, and was what? Driven away from your assembly. You understand? He was excommunicated, driven away. You understand? Like those who were driven out of Africa, we can say Afro-Asia, right? And now, why do you magnify yourselves over Adam? In other words, why do they magnify themselves over the African, over the black man, over the black base of Israel? If ye were as he is, and I have created you of water and dust, ye would have been flesh and blood, and ye would have transgressed my commandment more than he had done and denied my word. This is exactly what we're seeing now. You understand? In these beings, you understand, or rather in the people, the men and people who have been deceived by these fallen angels, these demonic entities. Right? Now, it goes on to say, right, and the angel said to him, they said to Hashem, Baruch Hu, they said to him, we will not transgress thy commandments, and we will not oppose thy word. You understand? Remember the Rhema word. The word is the Logos, our black Lord and Savior, Yeshua HaMashiach. They said we will not do that. Right? For we are spiritual beings for life. When they talk about, oh, we're spiritual, right? And he is a creature of dust, doomed to folly. These are these folks that talk about, oh, yeah, it's like we trapped. You understand? That being a human being and being on the earth is being trapped and stuff. You know, so you can see it and recognize it, right? If you have a love of the truth. You understand? The truth will reveal itself. But are you ready for the truth? And now try us well and put us to the test so that thou mayest know whether we are able to keep thy word. This is what we're seeing now in this present time.